got it? Okay, great. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Public Safety Committee meeting. Hope everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes from the last meeting. Can I get a motion? So moved. Motion, got a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion, accept the meeting. Carries. Let's jump right into PS1. Resolution authorizing the creation of one temporary position in the Emergency Management Department. Renee Fox is retiring, correct?
She's moving on.
Moving on. Not retiring, retiring from us.
She's taking another position in New Mexico School District. She will be here until September 1st when school starts. So in the interim of that, I was trying to bring someone in early for the transition piece on that. So I would like to put in a temporary position to bring them in. That's going to be time sensitive in some manners. We have got 16 applications in. I have conducted 7 interviews so far. There's, of the 7 so far, they all interviewed really well. There's really 2 great candidates and 2 more that have the potential if we can't go that route. But I'd like to bring one in early. The piece that's going to be different is going to be a salary piece. We started it at the bare minimum wage. The one in particular that I potentially would like to offer a position won't be for less than what he's getting. This would be bringing somebody in from Onondaga County, purchasing management office to our office, which is a great find. Similar programs, knows our program really well and is in a lot of the plans and pieces that we got. So it would be more the middle range of what the salary is now, but I would have to take that. First, I got to get the temporary position put in place, and then I've got to work to maybe potentially ask them for an additional amount of salary if I go that route, but just to keep it on your radar. But at first, I'd like to get the temporary position.
It would be nice to bring somebody from Onondaga County.
I know. It would be nice to see that from them.
Motion for discussion.
Motion.
Second. Thank you. Okay, go ahead now.
I was just going to say, it would be nice if we got somebody from Onondaga County.
Oh,
Instead
for
of
a
them
change.
always siphoning off of us, it'd be nice to get back.
And he's a local, he's from Mexico area, so he's familiar with the area anyway, so, we actually had applied for a radiological position, before we hired someone else for that, so, he's been looking to try to get back to emergency management, in this area, so, so I think it's definitely a process.
All right, this is a no-brainer. It's an easy one. Any further discussion? Frank?
How long in advance are you going to hire someone?
Okay, so at most, because depending on the offer and the position and trying to get the salary piece, really it's gonna have to be pushed to finance personnel next month. So it would be maybe a month at most, 3 weeks possibly, but I gotta look at that and talk to Julie a little bit to see what we can do. I don't know if we offered them a position tomorrow, if we can get something on next week's I gotta see that. Yeah.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, my plan was between 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks at most, but with like a transition piece, that's always nice to have. So,
I'm happy with it. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, PS2, resolution authorizing capital project number 0923-County Fire Coordinator Special Teams. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? You got a second? You're up.
So I handed out the PowerPoint that we're going to bring up here so everybody can look at. I apologize, we just finalized everything this morning. Basically what we're looking to do is to establish a capital project for equipment that has come to end of life or needs to be replaced within the next year. A lot of it is our special ops stuff, dive, habitat, fire investigation, things that are a higher end item. So we can go through the PowerPoint if you like. So on page 1, looking to replace 2 pickup trucks with 2 new units. One of the units that we're going to replace is no longer able to be repaired, the frame's bad on it. And the other one we're going to keep it as a utility vehicle at the facility because there's a need for it. So the first will be replaced at our existing 2 pickups with 2 utility body 4-wheel drive vehicles. Planned service life for them is 10 years at least. We've got at least 10 out of
The current vehicles are 17, 18 plus.
So we'll definitely get our years out of them. One of the options we can look at towards the road is an alternative service life. We can cycle another vehicle through planned rotation, similar to what some towns are doing. They're getting good trade-in values for them, so we're going to look at that as a thing for the future. The vehicles that I'm requesting are essential to our team operations, as all of our special ops teams are trailer-based, which means all their equipment is on one of the many trailers we have at the facility. And then those are towed to the incident scene. Next item is replace self-contained breathing apparatus, our air packs for the hazmat team. We're looking to purchase 16 new Scott air packs with cylinders and a mask. Currently we have 20 air packs. Originally, when the team was formed, we had 38. The air packs were funded previously by eight were funded by a DEC grant from the clothier money, and then 30 more from the Department of Homeland Security following 9/11. We looked at our needs. Instead of putting down 38, we currently need 16. Our team has come down in size like most volunteer things. People aren't volunteering much, so 16 would be an appropriate number. The expected life of those SCBAs is at least 15 years. Cost of that air pack, as mentioned, with a cylinder, one cylinder, backpack, and the face piece is $6,215. And these are used by our hazmat and tech rescue teams. Again, 15 years life. Along with that, we buy a spare cylinder because they're 1-hour cylinders. You've got to have a spare cylinder with every pack. So again, 16 cylinders. Again, those numbers are down from the original 38. Same life expectancy, 15 years. There is a warranty on the air pack.
It's got a bumper to bumper for 5 years.
So there'd be outside of flow test every year, which is required. Anything that's broken on them outside of general abuse would be repaired. Spare air cylinders are $1,545, and we're looking to purchase 16 of those. More for the hazmat team, protective clothing replacement. Service life of that is roughly 10 years. Purchased 20 new level A NFPA compliant ensembles. The team currently maintains 20 of 2 different manufacturers to provide a broader range of protection. This is down from 21, but originally back in the day it was 29. The original 12 suits that we have were funded by a DEC grant from Clothier, and 8 were funded through the 9/11 money. 11 suits were funded by our regional hazmat grant. As we've mentioned before, a lot of that money is starting to dry up. We do still get regional money, but we're not getting the amount that we used to get. The difference in that roughly about.
Well, 10 years ago when I started doing the logistics, we were getting about $32,000 a year from the regional hazmat grant. Now we're down to about $23,000 on our share. The grant as a whole has decreased over the years. The state gives us less and less money. That money comes to the state from the federal government, and they flow through the state. And the cost of everything's going up at the same time the grant's getting smaller.
The life expectancy of a level A hazmat suit is roughly 10 years. There are 2 types of level A personal protective equipment. It's an interoperability issue. We currently, because of the region, we're the backup team for Syracuse Fire, along with Madison, Onondaga.
We have interoperability with the city of Oswego and the city in Novellis Hazmat. They use a particular suit, and ourselves and the city of Syracuse, the only 2 level A teams in the region, are us and the city of Syracuse, use both of these suits. The first suit, the St. Gobain suit, that was a DHS grant from the federal government. They were actually from the military, and then the second suit was a regional purchase. They all came through the region.
And there you can see the 2 different styles of suits and the difference in cost. There is an issue with the one suit won't be available till after January 1st of next year, correct?
That's correct.
So,
Why do we need both suits? I'm sorry.
If we go to Novellus, we would use the same suit they use, or their people are only trained to use that top suit. County team personnel and City of Syracuse are trained to use both of those ensembles. They do similar functions. They have different chemical, I'll say compatibility, or resistance would be a more correct term. So we have a computer program that selects the suit that offers us the greatest protection for the particular chemical we interface with.
Next thing for the hazmat team is replacement of the Raymond technology. The Cura first defender capable of identifying 9800 liquids and solids. We'd like to purchase that new Raymond tech detection, the PEDNAR X10 or Red Wave system. It's got a 5-year maintenance plan included with that. The Hero unit that we presently have is over 20 years old. It's been replaced, meaning in the market, there's new technology, but the present one we have is no longer supported. Every time we turn it on, we hope it comes on. The day that it doesn't is the day it's dead.
Basically, the time we go to use it and it doesn't fire up will be the last time it's in service. But we still use it because
It's what we have.
it's what we have.
It's over 20 years old.
And what is it used for?
The current technology we have can identify liquids and solids. It has a library of about 9,800 chemicals that it can identify. The technology we're looking to go to is that same type of technology, but the libraries are much bigger now. You're looking at a library of over 20,000 liquids and solids. If we went the route of the Red Wave appliance, it offers a second unit within a similar price range. You can buy the pair that identifies gas. We currently don't have Raman technology that identifies gases.
Is this an upgradable piece of equipment, or?
That's correct.
So it will,
These will be units that would be serviceable for at least 15 years going ahead. The libraries will update and expand as they add. They'll have to go back for a visit to get a software update, and some of it will be updatable over internet, so it will be updatable on site. It offers us a big jump in capability as far as gases, and more than double the amount of liquids and solids that we can see now. There's still thousands of things out there we can't see, but this covers a lot of stuff.
So, for instance, recently, middle school, we had to call Syracuse in. We used our meter, but to rule out anything else, they have this type meter. So they were able to come in and make sure there was nothing within the school so they could open the next day. So the only issue we have with that is, yes, they have one. It takes a while for them to put a team together and come down. And two, if they're on their own incident in the city, then we don't have that opportunity. So again, looking at future, the 1 meter we have, it'll do the 9,800 liquids and solids. It's over 20 years old, and we're hoping to turn it on. So we're looking to move into the future with these newer style gases.
Shane, you got 3 of them listed here. Are you suggesting you purchase all 3 of them?
No.
Or are you selecting one of the 3, or what's the status?
The first device is a device that originally Oswego City was looking at. We looked at it. It's got great capability as far as liquid and solid. Eric Heath, the team leader, and myself were at a training session where we were able to view the Red Wave. The cost is in the similar ballpark as the PEDNAR with its support contract, and it offers us greater versatility. But it could be bought as either the liquid solid group machine or the gas analyzer, or the pair gives us the biggest capability.
So it'd be one or the pair of the other. So the Raymond, it would be the two on the page 7, and on the back side of that page, the top one, it's 2 separate meters. One identifies solids and liquids, the other one identifies gases. And the Raymond, that's just a standalone unit. So there are options for us. We're looking at both to see who can give us the best bang for our buck.
Previously, to do what Red Wave offers us, we were looking at way over $100,000. It was about $80,000 a unit. In the last year or so, these two options have come up, the Pednar or the Red Wave, have come up at a much more affordable price for us, and they offer a lot of things that the higher end units offer.
But in order to have the gas, you need to have the gas plus one or the other.
No, they're the two units. They use the same technology as airlines. They use a laser, and they shoot a laser through, and then they read how the particles separate. But it's a choice. You could do one, but you'd only have that capability. You either have liquid or solid, or you'd have gas only.
So this is a piece of equipment that is used quite often.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
something-
like the men out of school thing, we needed to be able to look for gas in the men out of school. Liquids and solids weren't a big option. We go out, if we were to go out in support of law enforcement or EMS on a substance that's laying there, powder or liquid, we couldn't do that with the gas meter. We'd have to have the other meter. So they complement each other and expand our capability. And both of them would have an expected life expectancy of 15 plus years based on our experience with other units.
So just to rehash, the one unit does both gas and solids, and the other one, you need 2 separate, one for gas and one for solids, correct?
The first unit, that looks like a
Yeah,
pistol grip, that only does liquid and solid,
but not gas.
not gas.
Okay.
The other two together would do all 4.
But you have to have the two of them.
You have to have the
Okay,
two.
that's what I was,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
That's what I was trying to clarify, is that, okay, got it.
What you thought about.
The next page going on is replacement of our basic meters, our 4-gas meters and our 4-gas with PID. Those were purchased originally on an SHSP, actually a combination of 2 SHSP grants. The city of Fulton had one and the county had one, and we pooled our resources about 5 years ago and bought similar units, and we were able to help the city of Oswego out as well with that project. Those units are 5 years old. They're out of warranty now, and the maintenance, we're in a situation where as sensors fail, they had a 4-year life expectancy. They're in their 5th year now. They were warranted up to 4 years. We've crossed that line, and now the sensors are starting to fail. And we paid $700 for the meters, and a sensor to keep it going is now $480. It's sort of a planned obsolescence by the manufacturer, I guess you'd say, because they're making it so expensive to maintain that it's cheaper to buy a new meter with 4 brand new sensors and a warranty than it is to replace a sensor in the unit. The sensor you put in the unit would have a warranty on the individual sensor, but some of our meters have 4 and some of them have 5 sensors. So you can easily put $1,600 into a meter that costs $700 to keep it running. And these have, the other thing these have is incorporated with this new meter, which is cheaper than buying new meters of what we currently have. It has a cellular reach back capability where if I wasn't in a suit I could be in the command post with a cell phone and an app, and I can read that meter over there. I can see it at the same time that the guy in the suit can see it. And it gives us a tracking feature where we can see where they've gone and track that. Basically make a map of what we survey.
Slide 18 hazmat continued communications. We need to add 4 additional CADCOM to in-suit communications. That's the suit to the individual that's wearing the suit to outside communication. It's a direct line. It doesn't go through. Depends on what type of buildings we might not be able to get a signal in or out of. So this is a way so that we have communication. Want to talk about that?
Sure. Dive, going on to dive. The dive team as it is now is about 10 years old. We're strive to be a public safety dive team, and most of our frontline divers are public safety certified. So they have qualifications way above and beyond an open water diver. We're in need of 4 additional dry suits, public safety. They have to be meet a particular criteria, which is public safety dry suit. Because of regulations, all bodies of water in the United States are considered contaminated until they're tested and proven to be otherwise. And when we suit up a person, we take on a responsibility to meet that obligation. It's basically almost a level A hazmat suit for a diver. The suit and the full face combination, that you see on the next page, make a level A enclosure. They're isolated from the water around them. The full face mask has a wireless communication, so 2 divers in the water can talk to each other, or they can talk back to this surface communication unit and talk to a person on a boat, on a dock, wherever it is. They drop a transponder into the water, and they have that ability. We train on a pretty regular basis, and we've reshuffled the suits we have, and we still have a gap in coverage of people. We've been very successful in the past with grants, but it's harder and harder, and there's more competition. There's more competition within the county for SHSP money, which has been one of the sources. We've also been able to get money from SLEP-P, which is a DHS money for law enforcement, and Brookfield Power has given us a couple of grants towards this, because we've had several incidents not involving their equipment, but in close proximity to Brookfield facilities, i.e. Salmon River Falls and Fulton, the Fulton River below their hydro stations, and they've helped us out with money for full face communications and training. But again, we're in that SHSP gets smaller, and the cost of this money, the equipment goes up, and we're in that situation now.
And then the last thing on the last page that Bob hasn't covered is fire investigation teams. We'll be getting meters for the fire investigators. We're looking for 2 black line 4 gas meters with the add-on modules. There's one in my vehicle, one in another deputy's vehicle, and the investigators as they go in and monitors CO, oxygen,
hydrogen sulfide, and lower explosive limits. The particular meter we're looking at has the capability of changing a cartridge on the end of it, so that the big risk for fire investigators currently is hydrogen cyanide. It's also a big risk with the lithium, the great expanse of availability of lithium now. So we can see hydrofluoric acid, we can see hydrogen cyanide with these additional modules, so it's something they need to survey. We currently do it with standalone meters and a poor gas. But there's a very high incidence of certain cancers in fire investigators, so we try to rule those gases out, which are directly related to those cancers prior to investigators doing their job.
Any questions? I think you were done. Okay. Any questions? Yes.
With the dive team, I believe, does the sheriff have a dive team as well or not? Or you're the only one in the county that has any dive team?
We have sheriff's deputies on the dive team.
Okay.
They're all currently special seasonals now. They've retired. They were full-time. Deputy Moody and Sergeant Brown, and we had Deputy Chipman. They're all specials. They work Marine and security now, but they're still on the dive team.
And you guys are the dive team?
And they come,
Okay.
by legislative action, the dive team falls under the fire coordinator's office.
Okay.
And under the previous sheriff, he did not want a separate dive team. That's how we got some of our funding for.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have two dive teams. I'm like,
Nope.
okay, good.
Well,
Thank you.
brings up a question and concern is, how old is our youngest diver? Talking about retired guys now, how many guys do we have? Do we have
We have-
replacements for these
We
guys
have
when they actually
people in
retire?
their 20s.
Okay, so we're training younger guys to fill in when these guys actually retire. Good, good.
You don't have the experience, obviously, with those, but.
Of course not, but when they go, you gotta have someone to replace it.
We've been pretty fortunate in the last couple of years. We picked up several young,
Exactly.
some guys out of the military actually that really come on strong. We could use more law enforcement involvement as far as securing evidence. It's beneficial to have a sheriff's diver or a sheriff in the dry suit that picks up the evidence. We get a certain amount of training for that, but chain of custody and all that falls into there. But the other dive alternative is state police for us, and they're coming from all over, from the Canadian border to Binghamton is where their dive team assembles from. Their boats in North Syracuse.
Any other questions? No.
Now, with all the things that are very old, and are you in non-compliance with anything now? Or are you still okay, but, I mean, you're on the verge. I just didn't know if you are, or there's any of these that you're not compliant with. It's like a priority.
We're getting very close.
Okay.
We're not in non-compliance. As if a suit fails, it comes out. We have enough suits to cover that for a certain amount of time. At some point in time, a large number of suits are going to fail.
Right.
And we know this because we're on our third generation of hazmat suit. It's almost predictable. The suits we have are 10 and 8 years old. Somewhere in the next 2 years, a large number of those suits will probably fail.
Well, the old an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure here, and I just didn't know if we were over the edge on something or not, but obviously
We're just trying to be ahead, because
Yes.
with, again, COVID, our ship dates, our manufacture dates keep getting pushed back, even on just regular stuff that, like, for instance, Drycom for fire extinguishers. That's been on order since first of the year. I checked on it today, we still don't have it. It's 7 months. I'm running really low, so we're just trying to be proactive.
One of the pickup trucks is out of service, but we still have the other one. So, but we're not, I would never send a person downrange in a chemical protective suit.
Yeah.
The liability of that is just.
Well, you should have the equipment that you need, let's face it. We want to protect our first responders, and they should have the up-to-date equipment that they need as opposed to.
Everything in this packet, the current things that do these jobs were purchased under grants that we had available. Clothier was a huge, not many of us remember Clothier, but Clothier pollution abatement was as bad of a thing as it was. It was a huge shot in the arm. It was the creation of the county hazmat team. We were in that position of, what do you mean we don't have a hazmat team? We need a hazmat team. DEC had a lot of money for that now. DEC doesn't give out money anymore.
You know, you mentioned the state hazmat grant and that it's gotten lower and lower. And you say it comes from the federal to the state to us.
Yep.
Do you know if it's the federal has reduced it, or is the federal giving the same to the state, and then the state is using more and giving us less?
The size of the federal allotment has gotten smaller.
Okay, so it started out.
We do know that. Whether there's more handling costs between the federal government and us, that I can't say.
I didn't know if you knew or not, but I just like to. Thank you.
Any further questions? Eric?
It seems like there's a lot of equipment coming due all of a sudden in the middle of the budget. But I think it would be a good idea, it's like the county highway, they have a 5-year plan, to replace so much equipment every year. And that might be a good idea that we do here.
So in my meeting with Phil, we talked about that. We are going to be implementing some things for next year. And that is definitely on the course. That's what I'm working towards, is short-term, long-term plans.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we don't get all expensive in 1 year. And I think you need all that equipment, especially with some new batteries, fires, and you talked about it the last fire advisory board. A lot of people don't know about how dangerous that the batteries are. Even your cell phone explode in your pocket. And these guys got to fight it, so yeah, they need all the equipment. But they do.
And this is, I believe the list that this approves is to be purchased over 1 to 3 years, right?
Good enough.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, PS3, resolution authorizing budget modification, district attorney's office transfer from salaries and wages to other equipment. Can I get a motion? So moved. We got a motion, we got a second. Okay, Greg, explain your need for new computer equipment, which is he's desperate for.
Thanks, Mark. Essentially, the laptops that we bought for the ADAs were purchased about 5 years ago. The desktops for the secretaries about 7 to 8 years ago. We've been trying to get through as an office without making additional purchases. We talked with staff. Some of it's just not functioning and not functioning to the level it needs to at this point, particularly given the number of ports that we're in. So much of our discovery is electronic, our case files. So the ADAs need to be able to have laptops in ports with them. The old batteries are dying. It's almost more expensive to replace the batteries than to replace it. So what we're looking to do is basically outfit the entire office with new laptops for the attorneys, new desktops for the secretaries, they'll carry us forward for the next 5 years or so. Additionally, looking to purchase some other equipment. We're using the courtroom up in Pulaski now, basically post-COVID. It's a bigger space. Because we're using that courtroom, it allows the other judge to continue using the public safety building courtroom. But basically, given the space, we need to buy TVs. So when we're showing photographs, we actually have something to project on, so the juries can actually see them clearly. And then we're looking to get some speakers for that as well, just because the acoustics in that courtroom are pretty poor. Again, the laptops and computers and everything priced out through IT at about $23,000. So again, the additional money will also buy TVs, speaker system. Again, we've also been using a different room for grand jury post-COVID, which the acoustics are pretty poor. In most days it's okay, but when we have cases with little kids, when they have to testify about the things that little kids have to testify about, it's hard for them to keep their voice up. So we figure if we can get a microphone and speaker system in there, it makes it that much easier for them.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
Yes.
Any questions? Any discussion at all? Mr. Castillo?
You're taking it out of salaries and wages. How are you able to do that?
So I don't have any people, Frank.
I'm just,
No, it's-
I'm asking a question for a reason.
No, and I know it's, and I know you've asked that. Right now, I'm down about 2.5 full-time attorneys. I had an attorney leave in January. Last month, I was able to fill that position basically at a half-time rate with an attorney. Had 2 other attorneys that left about a month ago and about 6 weeks ago, and there's no prospects in sight, unfortunately. Everybody's competing for attorneys right now. I know the PD's office is struggling to hire on attorneys. I know the county attorney's got a vacant position, DSS, and
Who would have thought there'd ever be a shortage of attorneys in the world?
right. Yeah. Like Mel said, the idea of we could take somebody from Onondaga County. The last 3 attorneys I've lost all went to Onondaga County. The one ADA told me, she says, yeah, we got a 9% pay raise last year, and we get the stipend that got approved for cap court. If I take that combined salary, they're going to pay me $10,000 more on top of that. Plus, I'll still get cap court availability down there. So it's really just a matter of dollars and cents for them to be able to go there.
We're working on
Bringing
that.
it up again, that's all.
Yeah,
working
no,
on
I
it,
know,
Frank.
Frank.
Get them to come back?
What's that?
Can we get them to come back?
Maybe. Like I
Give them
said,
another 6 months and reel them back in?
really, I'm hoping so. Like I said, we had a couple people apply. Things just didn't work out. We had a person we interviewed a couple weeks ago. He's from the Buffalo area. He got offered a position out in the Buffalo area, so he doesn't have to move. Otherwise, he was interested, but it's just,
So right now, this is budget neutral.
this is absolutely budget neutral. Yeah.
To the other, but if you find an attorney, let's say October, then we're gonna have to come back to the table.
Yeah, I mean, basically, given the vacancy that I had in the one position from January to the end of May, that vacancy covers this amount. Plus, we've got the additional savings of the 2 ADAs that have been vacant. And then again, if we're able to find some appropriate candidates, come back to you folks and talk to you about setting salaries.
Okay.
Just on the vacancies.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that, a lot of people in this room understand why, and what it's doing to us, okay, because it just keeps backlogging everything. And that doesn't help anybody because it hurts the jail, because the jail gets overfull, and all that. So, hopefully you can pay somebody some money. Thank you.
Any other questions about the equipment purchase? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let's move on to PS4, resolution designating chief medical officer for the Oswego County Correctional Facility pursuant to correction law. All right, by correction law, we have to have a chief medical officer. WellPath has given us Dr. Taranath, is that how you pronounce it?
Your guess is fine.
Taranath. So we're going to make a resolution appointing him as our chief medical officer for the jail. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
We've got a motion, we've got a second. Any discussion?
I think the only thing on that is potentially temporary. He is the regional medical director for WellPath. When they actually come in, they may hire somebody more local to do central New York. And so we may come back and tell you we're changing that. That would be the reason down the road. Just give you a heads up on that. But right now, he will be the director.
Very good.
To start us off in September.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, bid requests. We got a bid for a CDU from the sheriff's office. Can I get a motion on that? I need a motion. Yeah, need a motion. Need a motion? Take a second? Second? Okay. You're up, John. Tell us about the CDU.
We've always had CDUs in the sheriff's department. They were always given to us pre-COVID. When COVID hit, the companies stopped their program and give them to us for free. Last fall, we went out to bid and came back. Lowest bid was $36,000 for 2 jet skis. This is, and and it was for a company out of New Jersey. We decided we weren't going to make any requests at that point because we thought it was too much money, and we knew that Ingalls locally, who was very good to us, potentially was going to be getting the same jet skis in and selling them to us pretty much at cost. So we put them out to bid when they got the jet skis in stock. They came in a little bidder this time at $28,000, so it's about $8,000 less. We have money in our equipment line to purchase them, and would also get half of that back from state parks. They'll give us 50% reimbursement. So we're looking to buy the two for $28,728, and then $14,364 back from the state at some point.
Bid shows,
No, yeah, the bid sheet just shows one.
Bid sheet shows one, but purchasing told me that there's one each, and you could purchase two.
oh, you said, oh, that 14,360.
This 14.3 is for one, and this one is for two. And when it came in, I was there when we opened the bids, and she said it's not a problem because it's each.
Oh,
This is
you
per two.
mentioned you get 14,364 back.
Well-
So parks, that's why I'm confused. Okay.
That's all right.
But we're gonna be paying 28,728, and then we'll apply for the reimbursement from the state.
Thank you.
And that's still cheaper than the guy that wanted to charge 30.
Cheaper than stand local.
But what do we do with the old ones?
We've never had them. We didn't own them. They were loaned to us, but they would give it to us at the beginning of the season. At the end of the year, we'd bring it back to Ingalls, and then they would sell it as a demo.
Gotcha.
Any further questions, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the 911 Director Technical Work Report. I don't think we get a motion for that. It's just okay. I read it, pretty in-depth.
I was gonna say, just follow up
If
the
you haven't
last
read
month's
it,
request.
You should read it, yeah.
Providing the additional information that was requested.
And
What I
we're
did
still-
after hours
We're
and
still
weekends.
discussing that, just so you know, right? We've had that discussion. There's no flavor to purchase a new car for you, but we're in the hunt for something, so, okay. So moving on to ARPA. We'll move to Mr. Do I need motions to go to ARPA? We're gonna do each one separately. Let's do each one separately. All right, so let's start with Brewerton Volunteer Fire Department. Dave, if you would, sir.
Sure. Well, it says Brewerton, they do service parts of Oswego County. They made a request for $63,000. Kyle did a lot of investigation, communication with the owner, who is a resident of Oswego County. And based on the percentage of calls that they service within Oswego County, is how we came up with the number that has been suggested by the task force as a reduction from their original request.
So can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second. We got a motion, we got a second. Any discussion? So this is an ambulance company that services part of Oswego County. There. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Village of Lacona.
So Lacona, after Shane's report, should be an easier request. You understand the necessity of the Scott air packs and having a compressor that can only fill them partially significantly reduces the time that personnel can stay in a structure. So they're looking for some help to be able to get a new compressor to be able to fully utilize their Scott air pack equipment.
Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Motion, we got a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion, no, one opposed. Motion carries. City of Fulton.
City of Fulton, the fire department's had several requests into us, from multi-million-dollar fire trucks to emergency squad vehicles. We've repeatedly shared with them that there wasn't a real desire to go to the level of financing or funding vehicles because we could quickly spend all of our ARPA money just in that one category. So to date, we haven't funded any vehicles. They came back with a request to help offset the cost of some new equipment and training for some new firefighters that they're bringing on board through a federal SAFER grant. And they're hoping for, they had asked for $49,900. The suggestion was reduced to $29,900 after discussion within the committee.
And its funds have been depleted from the ARPA funds, right? So we got to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion? Get a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Town of Orwell.
This is the only request that we've had from the town of Orwell. They were seeking support for replacing a vehicle, fire truck, and the committee discussed it at length. Not having another option at hand, the committee suggested that $75,000 was within the budget that we had still available. They wanted to try to get some support to the Orwell Fire Department, and they attached a $75,000 number here, but it was also suggested, not put into the notes because the notes were based on the application. It's been suggested that in lieu of describing this as assistance for the vehicle, perhaps you could consider supporting the fire department with funds to get equipment that they diverted their equipment money, put it into the truck. So they tried to find a path, but again, our description was based on the application language. So it's up to this committee to decide if they want to supply or provide support to Orwell for something other than they asked for in their request, but still accomplishing the mission of the fire department. So they took their equipment money and put it towards the truck. Now they have no equipment money.
Can I get a motion? So moved. Motion, second, and then some discussion.
I'd just like to say that I would definitely support it as equipment, for sure.
Herb?
Yeah, what they did is they needed the truck. They had an internal frame go bad on it. They didn't want to get rid of the truck. And so, but they had to get rid of it. They bought a used truck, redone over in Alabama. They flew to Alabama and drove that truck back.
Wow. There's no rust on it down there.
What they did is they paid the truck, but they took all the other money they had available and put it towards the truck. So all their small equipment and stuff were lacking money.
Right.
That's what happened.
I think it's a worthwhile cause. We supplied equipment to a couple of ambulances already, so I don't see why this would be out of order. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, so we'll amend this Schedule I to change the description, so when it goes to finance and then government and full body, it will read as it reads here today.
Right.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're down to department reports. Let's start with EMS.
Our EMT class in Fulton, taught by Adam Howard, wrapped up. 9 out of our 11 students were able to pass their practical skills exam, and if they haven't yet, they'll go on to take their state written exam. So really happy with that number. About 3 days after I submitted this report, we actually had to cancel our advanced EMT class, so that's not updated. In about a 48-hour period, we lost about 6 students who had to cancel, so we were not able to run the class due to participation. There's interest. It's something we'll explore probably in the fall or maybe next spring, but just the timing right now is not going to work out for the class.
Was there any common reason why they all quit at the same time?
The issue was the state didn't initially approve our scheduled class, so by the time the state approved the rescheduled class, I confirmed with the students who were signed up, most of them had already moved on to different programs or didn't want to make the commitment. So the state, in their delaying and giving me a course number, caused a lot of issues down the line, unfortunately. So hopefully we can regroup, submit a course application way more in advance than what they require, so there's zero excuses for that, and then we can go from there as a plan.
Thank you.
So, yeah, of course. Our Mentor EMT Academy has 4 students in it now. They're going to be testing out with the private skills exam next Tuesday. And Mentors has requested another academy class for the fall, so we're working through the paperwork process on that now. We're continuing to work with Workforce New York. It's been a couple different things. McPhee Ambulance, Noka Ambulance, and North Shore Ambulance have all had discussions about how they can better their programs utilizing the Workforce New York programming. So we were able to have a big multi-agency sit-down discussion with Workforce New York and how we can maybe use this program not just for Mentor, but how we can expand this to other agencies as well in a similar style. So I'm really excited about that. The state did put out some new guidance regarding academy style classes. It's confusing, and we're working through it. Myself, Mentor Ambulance, and the state chief of education actually had a sit down where we discussed the new policy statement and how it might impact us. It's looking like we might have to make a little bit of adjustments because the state's only allowing each course sponsor to run 1 academy style class a year. Mentor alone likes to run 2. So we're going to have to get a little creative how we work around that policy statement, but the state's been working with us on that and how we can continue. So I definitely don't want to move our program backwards so the rest of the state can catch up. So they've been pretty good at working with us on that from the state end. Hospital wait time has been getting better. Turnaround time has been getting better for sure, especially at Oswego and the Syracuse area hospitals. So we're excited about that. Other than that, I was able to participate in that massive tally tabletop exercise last month, and continuing to participate in a bunch of different meetings. So.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, let's move on to Kathy.
Well, I have to say that to start with, we had a successful radiological exercise, being evaluated, which is applied every 2 years. We have that, no planning issues and no findings at this time. So we're happy and excited about that. We have a lot of new participants in different areas, so it's always good to practice. Next year will be an off-year exercise, so it's always good to bring in some people at that point in time to see what that's like. Right now, we have some plans we're working on. We're in the middle of a comprehensive emergency management plan update with a consultant and also our hazard mitigation plan. So those will take us probably through the end of the year. Attended some replanning at Harbor Fest, Battle Fest. It looks like for all of those operations, we'll have some type of drone operations, whether they're city or county, in the air for those. There's some training that's upcoming with the Phoenix, Granby, Holy Fire Departments for the UAS for the drone part, so continuing to move that forward with education on that. I don't have a little lot more. I think it's somewhat concise. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions?
Just wanted to add that the director and myself met with the State Commissioner of Homeland Security yesterday, who was on a get-to-know-you tour of Northern New York. Said she wanted to get to know the people she might be dealing with in an emergency before there was an emergency. So we just had a nice conversation with her. She's very complimentary of Oswego County and its emergency management preparedness in the state that it's in. So it was a good meeting, and it was good to hear some feedback from the state that they hold us in high regard.
Anything else? All right, fire coordinator. Earlier today, I just want to let you know that the fire EMS tax exemption law has been put back out for public comment in August, and it's been lowered to 2 years from 5. I just wanted to update on that. All right, but go ahead with your updates.
As presented, activity since first of the year, like end of May, 148 activations, 48 structure fires, 12 hazmat teams, 2 responses, 21 fire investigations, 2 dive, 2 rope, 40 no response required, and 14 under. List of classes there that we've got scheduled since the publishing of this report. There's even more added. I'll have that for you next month. The activity at the training center, to date, we taught 129 classes till the end of May, 856 students with 678 hours of instruction. A list of classes and meetings I attended for the month of May. That's all I have.
How's our overall? Getting any better? We recruiting anybody?
Some hits and misses. Some I know Trevor and I belong to just took in 2 new members. They've been pretty active. So
Good. All right, any questions for him? All right, 911? Oh, I skipped probation, I'm sorry.
You gotta back, you gotta back.
I'll get back, you got 911, go ahead, I'll get back.
I didn't submit a report this month, but largely because we've been working on some major personnel issues since the middle of May through what will be the middle of, at the end of July. We'll have lost 5 employees, 3 of those being seasoned people. One was a retirement, so I was known to planning for that, but 2 others, very well seasoned employees, one backup supervisor and another 20-plus year employee. They've moved on to other opportunities. And then we lost a recently cross-trained fire dispatcher and a call taker. So it wasn't just new people that had left. It's more painful this time. And that puts us down 8 total people, which puts all of 4 shifts back at minimum. And I have 2 people that have come to me recently and said that they're preparing to leave, but would be willing to switch over to part-time schedule. So, might not be a complete loss, however, being below 5 is less than ideal, especially with the call volume that we're seeing with this day and age. The good side is we do have a large list. We finally did get our list in late June with 52 names on it, which is helpful. One little scary thing is one of our provisional employees is a little bit lower, and we need to get through 11 people in order to get to her. So fingers crossed we can get a few sign-offs, but we're looking at doing a 8-person recruit class, which really more than 4 is less than ideal, but we don't have much of a choice at this point with what we're seeing. So that'll be 8 people starting hopefully the middle of to the end of August. In order to do that, we obviously need to continue on carrying the mission, which is creating some expensive overtime. But we also need to continue training in order to have people to be able to do the jobs. And losing 3 extremely seasoned personnel is very painful. So doing what we can, we are setting up a training program that will actually start doing 6 days a week, which is something we've never had to do in the past. Going to this recruit academy, have to do a certified training officer class and a night certified training officer class, which we have done in the past, splitting things up a little bit, but we have a lot of necessity this time. So overtime has exploded. We're over the budget amount at the moment when I looked yesterday. So yeah, come back asking for a modification next month to help cover that. With the positions that I have open, it'll easily come out of salaries and wages, so that's a concern, but it's not a good problem to have by any means. So we're kind of back where we were, if not a little bit worse from the standpoint of losing seasoned personnel this time as opposed to new employees. But our training coordinator just did something. We retained 2 people out of the last 17 we hired over the past 3 years. So definitely needs some changes. We're working on that.
Did these seasoned employees give reason as to why they were leaving for other employment?
One was burnout. One was a lifelong dream of becoming a firefighter,
Okay.
career firefighter.
So it wasn't a money issue, it was a
both
burnout.
both are getting more money in the
Right.
positions that they're going to. So money didn't keep them here. So burnout was a big for the one that is following their lifelong dreams.
And how many years did that person have?
More than 20. So
Okay.
it big hurt.
Well, we're in a lot better shape than we were a few years ago, where you had very few candidates looking to fill these positions.
That is the
That's a
one
big
positive
plus.
that we do
Yeah.
have going at the moment, that we do have candidates to pull from, 52 of them. So
It's a lot better
hopefully
than
we
the
can
10
we find some real good people that we can get to stick around. So,
Mr. Turner?
Do you have I heard you mentioned part-time work. Do you have like a list of people, like, we need somebody tonight, a list of people who say, I'll work if you need me now and then?
per diem type thing, no.
Yeah.
In order to keep the skills up, you have to work at least 15 to 20 hours a week.
Okay.
Just because of the highly skilled work that we're doing.
Can we reach out to some retirees that might want to come back part-time? I know a lot of people don't want to come back full-time, but if you could give them a couple of days here, a couple of days there, they'd probably be
We
interested.
had started to look at that, and we started doing that, see the recent retirees, because the problem is really if we go much over a year, we would have to start the training process, not necessarily from the beginning, but we have to spend a significant amount of time training them. So we have started having some discussions with those. So far, there's nobody that's interested.
No.
Are there any policies or procedures to monitor burnout?
Not necessarily, no.
Just didn't know if there was something to see and to watch or whatever, and some
I mean, we had,
red flags.
we have the mental health, program, I guess you can call it, with the check-in buddy, working with the sheriff's office to also try and build out their peer support program as well. Because, the big thing is really since 2020, the escalating issues that we're dealing with are just a lot more than we've ever been before.
I know,
So,
I know there was something that I mentioned to you, was this mental health first aid, and going to that and being able to be trained to be able to on the lookout as to where everybody's at,
Yep.
to monitor that. I'm
Yep.
just wondering.
Yeah, that's the
That has to
program
be-
that is, from what I understand, pretty successful down at the sheriff's office, and some of the 911 centers are starting to jump on board with that are under sheriff's offices. So looking at.
It's a great program. I
So-
saw it at one of the nice acts and I brought it back, so I'm glad to see that it is being utilized.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and it's definitely something that we 100% need to do. The downside is it takes more time to get it in place, and we get whole people on shift that we are barely covering at this point, so.
So it's one end under the other.
Unfortunately, it is, so it's trying to balance that.
Any other questions for 911? Probation. Sorry, I skipped you.
Our supervision caseload numbers are staying pretty much stable. However, our investigation numbers are staying high. We've had over 100 in May and June, which is probably 30% higher than our average. So we got to monitor that, which is tough over the summer because there's a lot of staff vacations, whatever. So it's been a little tricky assigning those, but we're making do. We're continuing our programming in the jail. We're also still running the Ready Set Work program up in our office, which is the job readiness program, which is under a grant. We have a vacant senior typist position, which we haven't been very successful at filling, so we're sliding through that for now, but hopefully we'll be able to find a candidate. We've got 2 officers that are close to completing their special services training, so we'll be up to 11 officers on the SSU unit, which would be nice. That's pretty much it as far as probation. On the stop DUI side of it, I submitted a revised plan for this program here after the resolution passed last month for the funding, so I haven't heard anything from the state on that, so I'm assuming it must be okay. Hopefully. We've been doing some community events. We were at the county fair all 3 days, had our pedal carts and had a table, giving away brochures and give away.
Quite a few people tried that pedal car out there, right?
We had a lot of people. Yeah, it went pretty well. Yep. We're scheduled to speak in a couple driver's ed classes coming up, and we're attending an event in the town of Schuylkill, which is the Family Fun Day in their park. So that's moving ahead too. So that's what we gotta do.
Any questions for probation? Hearing none. Search and rescue.
We're up to 35 calls for the year, which is on track to with last year. Last year was almost double our normal year, so that trend is continuing. 16 activations, 17 notifications, and most of these subjects are either older folks with dementia or Alzheimer's, which is increasing in our county. Our average age is pretty high. And then children and autistic runaways. So most recently, we provided mutual aid to Onondaga County Parks, the Janesville Beach incident. And the team has participated in 4-H Safety Day with 6th graders that got moved to one of the schools instead of the fair due to the smoke that day. And team training continues monthly. Last month we were at Great Bear, and we included our on-team canine and drone resources. And we're going to be hosting, along with 2 other teams, a conference at Oswego Fall Recreation Center. And so we'll have 23 search and rescue teams coming in from across the state. We'll be collaborating together on different disciplines of training. So,
Great. Let's post it on that. I'm sure they can. Thank you for your work. Greg, you're here. Anything you want besides your book you got any orders for?
No, not really.
Okay. John, Sheriff's Office? Anything?
I can give you a quick update on things if you want.
Sure.
Here. Our academy's in, probably about coming up on the halfway point. School's doing good. Starting Sunday, we've got 10 local kids going to the New York State Sheriff's Camp down at Oswego Lake. The following week, 10 more kids will go. It's going to be a nice program. No cost to any of the 20 kids that go to that.
What is the age for that?
Don't know exactly, but probably stops at about 12, I'm guessing.
Okay, so it's a little bit.
So it's, yeah, it starts probably about 6 to 12, I'm guessing. Corrections numbers are back up, almost to full, and we still have the issue with females that we're housing out in 3 different counties right now. We got 2 that are state ready, so hopefully we'll go back to just Yates on Ontario. Right now we have 2 in Delaware also, because we're at 16, we have room for 14. We're still trying to work on that. Wells Path was in a couple weeks ago. Met with all our employees. They got a pretty good vibe from that, and the employees seem very happy with meeting them. They're coming back next week to meet with our employees, get their applications, and also do a job fair in the Sheriff's Training Office, try to get some of the other spots filled. Just said, the road and rain patrols are busy because it's summer.
Thank you. Is there any unfinished business? I want to thank everybody for their hard work. We appreciate it. The county appreciates you, especially our volunteers. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Can I get a motion? Motion adjourned. Good. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.